Summary of the debate. Wow. Bernie Sanders came out 1,000 times more aggressive than he normally does. He's normally against the millionaires and the billionaires. He does that all the time. But today, he finally defended himself. He said, look, you said that I was against the auto bailout. That's not true. I voted with you on the auto bailout. I was against the Wall Street bailout. And then at one point later in the debate, she had to agree based on the questions that were asked and the attack against her, saying, well, yeah, I was for the, quote, bailout. Right?
Quote.
And that's not good. She said, some things are just too good to be true. That doesn't play well in progressive circles and with Democratic primary voters.
Think small.
She had to say, I don't agree with Donald Trump on a wall. He's for a tall wall. I'm for some fencing. Okay.
It sounded like a joke. It sounded like a joke.
Yeah.
I think she honestly started to, like, sometimes you'll start to talk and then you realize you didn't really know what you wanted to say. Mm-hmm. And I think she just sort of like got frustrated herself. And then so she smiled a little bit. I think she knew that it was a complete fumble.
Yeah. I think so. That's the sense I got while watching it.
The problem with Donald Trump's wall is it's too tall. No. And if you say that, he's just going to make it 10 feet higher. Stop talking about it.
It's interesting. I thought that she was willing to go farther on these issues, right? Not just expand on Trump's policies.
Yeah. And so he went on the attack and said, hey, look, those speeches, they must have been fantastic for $225,000 a piece. Let's all share them. Now, I know that's a line he's used before. One, he delivered it better. Two, he insisted on it. And he said, and he made it clear, he said, I didn't give any speeches to Wall Street. They never paid me for those speeches. Then he went on to say, look, she keeps saying that people aren't affected by it and that she was tough on Wall Street. Now, if she was so tough on Wall Street, why'd they just give her $15 million?
He should have made that point.
That's a great point.
And how do you recover from that? She couldn't.
Exactly. And I want to expand on that a little bit, because if you watch this debate and you see how difficult it was for Hillary to defend herself, imagine what's going to happen if she wins the Democratic ticket and she has to debate against Donald Trump. She is very easy to attack because she is flip-flopped on issues. She is inconsistent. Her record is questionable, and Trump will tear her apart.
Trump will tear her apart.
Yes.
Look, Hillary, you're all over the place on this. People don't trust you. Everyone knows. Nobody trusts you. You're a liar. Your people lie. Anyway, you just say
To be fair to Hillary Clinton, she'll also rip Donald Trump apart because he is wildly inconsistent and she's, against a Republican. He's the easiest thing in the world.
No. He's easier to attack. It's hard to make it stick, I would say. That's why I want Bernie in there. I don't think that you beat Donald Trump by making him seem like a buffoon. He's clearly a buffoon. You have to make yourself so appealing and so positive that they'll vote for you. And he can do that. She has a much harder time just naturally going in there to do that.
But I think she would do much better in a debate against Donald Trump, obviously, than against Bernie Sanders, because Bernie Sanders has outflanked her. So the moderators were very tough tonight, really tough questioning to both candidates. At the end, they really pressed Sanders on, hey, you said positive things about Castro and the Sandinistas, and they wouldn't let it go, and they followed up and they followed up. But they were very even. So they followed up on Hillary Clinton, they pressed her, and they pressed Sanders. They had less material to work with Bernie Sanders because Hillary Clinton has had policy positions that affected Latinos in some ways that were a little bit more negative, okay? And so they had all this material ready. You said this about walls. You said this about deporting kids, and I have it on tape because I was interviewing you. Jorge Ramos said. Now, on the Latin American stuff, they went after Sanders as hard as they could on how are you going to pay for it. As with everybody, they went after him as hard as they could, but he had better answers, time in, time out. She said, you can't pay for all this stuff, and he said, look, I'm willing to fight these drug companies and these insurance companies, and I believe that the American people are ready to fight with me, right? Boom, the place explodes again. And finally, the killer line, right? He said, yeah, Goldman Sachs CEO says that I'm dangerous. Yeah, to him, I am dangerous. Boom, explosion. It was like a nuclear explosion in there, right? Mm-hmm. And from then on, he never lost the crowd. In the beginning, the crowd was even. By the end, they gave him a standing ovation.